This is Cthulhu Dark, The Secret of Castronegro, Part 3 of 3 of our special Halloween series. The characters have all arrived in Castronegro, spent an afternoon and a night there, still the same night, and we've learned a little bit more about their aims. Principally, James, uh, Father Samuel, and Norbert are all there looking for someone who has gone missing from nearby Silver City in recent weeks. Millicent is there for academic interest in the occult. We have learned a lot. Nothing about the specific people who've gone missing, but we have learned a lot about what's going on in this town. It seems that there is a faction of people here who are making sacrifices at the obelisk, or at least some. There's been references to sacrifices, and you all found some books in the library that seem to indicate it takes place at this obelisk. So that's a thing that we know. We know that there are two predominant families here, the Varela Pereiras and the Diazes, and they all have very similar physical characteristics, in particular dark black hair, long limbs, pronounced cheekbones, and those vivid green eyes. We've learned that there's something literally under Castronegro that to be scared of. We don't know what it is, but there's something going on underneath the town, and several references have been made to that. Historically, Castronegro, we've learned, was originally uh, arrived at by conquistadors, but we also know that it was a place where, at some point during the Inquisition, witches fled to. And so we think that there's some sort of historical intermingling between the conquistadors and witchcraft. Um, so I will give you just remind you of like your leads you have not yet followed up on, things you know about. There is the obelisk. You have not been to it yet, but you have seen it from the bell tower, and so that can help you pinpoint where precisely it is out in the scrub. There is this barn, Shepherd's Barn, that keeps getting referred to. Some people think you should go there, some people want you to stay away from there, but in any case, it is a thing. There is the Casa de Diaz, which is this Spanish style villa that is up on a hill. You can see it. Speaking of the Diazes, some folks have made reference to the Diaz family vault, where presumably bodies are interred, that might hold some secrets to be learned. There is this matter of what is underneath the town. That is a thing if you want to try to go underneath the town and see what's going on. And what other things to follow up on? I think that's pretty much it. You can remind me if I'm forgetting something. But the very last thing we saw was the group in the library plundering the private room that has all these occult tomes, and it had that drawing of the obelisk. Father Samuel is being pressed by the sheriff Garcia to get in the truck because he's found out something about Joaquin, and he wants to take you there and show you. Just as you were declining this offer, you saw a line of torches moving along in the foothills outside of town, indicating that something is going down, I think, here. And so that is basically where things kind of lie right now. Have I forgotten anything? Okay. Then let us take a real quick look at our investigators and their insight scores. James and Father Samuel are furthest along at 4. Millicent and Norbert are keeping it relatively together with 3 insight. I have a feeling those numbers are going to go up today, though, because things are about to spiral badly. One thing after another, I think. So let's dive right into it. Sheriff Garcia says, all right, suit yourself. I'm not going to force you to get in the truck, but you stick around. I think you're going to want to know what happens here. And he just drives off and leaves you with no indication of what's going on with Joaquin.
Yeah, Father Samuel's eyes just follow the car, and then like when it's further down the way, he like breathes and like stumbles like back to like grab like just like support himself, and he very kind of like like gets to the door and um goes into the library and will kind of like call out with a bit of a stage whisper, which being like, we have some developments out here. Anyone help?
Yeah, I think you've all found what you came to find here in this private room in the library. You
A
all
quick
can.
question. The book that Millicent found with the obelisk and the sacrifices, were the
Mhm.
sacrifices of any particular gender, or were they all
I think it's hard to tell from the illustration.
okay?
Yeah.
Got it. Uh, uh, Samuel, Father Samuel.
He just points a shaking finger towards the line of figures with torches in the hills as he says, the sheriff, he drove by and tried to, he wanted me to come with him. He said something about Joaquin wanted to show me, but he would not specify what it was he wanted to show me. He drove off, but he seemed insistent, and the people.
Millicent will look up at the hill and see the far off distant torches and look back to Father Samuel. So I can deduce one of two things, though there could be many other possibilities. Joaquin is either in grave danger or he is a part of this, as I suspected. Either way, I don't think it's wise that you go up there alone or any of us go up there alone, or any of us go up there for that matter. And I found this, and she'll show the book of the obelisk to Father Samuel.
Uh, yes, what is this? How will this help us?
Norbert,
It was one of the areas that David was investigating. I believe Father Alonso pointed out on our map where we could find the obelisk.
Yes, but how will this book help us? I don't think we want to go towards the obelisk, right?
This may not be the only book. There has to be more here. And I think James is just obsessed with this pile of books. It's going to be hard for him to pull away. If we just perhaps if we find another book could hold the key that will help us. Surely there are answers here. He kept it locked up for a reason. Shuffling through the books.
And the trails that lead to David's whereabouts are either the barn or the obelisk. I must travel to both, I think.
Well, wherever it is those people are heading, we should stay far away from that and go to the other. I just want to say, Miss Reed, I do not believe in any way that Joaquin is involved in this willingly. I cannot believe it, and therefore he must be in danger. And despite myself, I will continue to press on. Please, none of you take my profound fear as a sign of cowardice. I am sticking through it. I'm trying. I am trying.
Well, so the question becomes then, where are you all headed? I mean, it sounds like there might be a lead with Joaquin. It's unclear. There's definitely a line of people with torchlight, with
and they're
torches
not
moving.
heading in the direction towards the barn, right? They are heading
They're
towards the
coming from the
obelisk.
north, so it's unclear. They're heading in the general
Okay.
direction of where the barn and the obelisk are, but you don't know precisely where they're going.
Okay.
They're
We
kind of
could always just
circling about.
hop in the bus and like drive up to like maybe get a better look and then go from there. I don't know. Like,
And there's the other idea of the house that we were told not to go into.
oh wait,
The Casa de Diaz.
yeah, Casa de Diaz.
Like I feel
Uh,
like, I mean, and I can say this in character, there's obviously the Diazes are very connected to this. There's that house, the Casa de Diaz, that we were forbidden to visit, but I suspect that we were forbidden from going there because there are secrets they don't reveal. If perhaps we can get in there, we can reveal those secrets for ourselves, maybe illuminate some of whatever's happening here.
So many things to see. Maybe you should all split up.
Heavenly
that's
Father,
totally
you're not
wise.
helping right now.
Jason, if I look at the hand-drawn map that Juan made for us, is there the location of either the sheriff's office or a hardware store?
No.
I feel before we decide our destination, we should arm ourselves. Perhaps we should find somewhere that would likely have weapons for you all.
Some of you might have weapons already.
I
I have mine.
Oh, you.
Would it be possible if I just open my little spider web clutch bag, just pull out one of those tiny little guns?
Little mini pistol. Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, one of those kitten pistols.
And I don't know if James is going to reveal or not, but James has a gun.
Oh yeah, James will absentmindedly, kind of awkwardly, right, and put it over, and then go back to looking through the books.
He's got a 38.
Did all of you come to Castronegro expecting this sort of violence? Am I the only one who did not come with some sort of weapon other than my own faith, which is proving very fruitless?
Well, I am a woman in the 20s. I'm not going to not protect myself.
I have no experience. I confess I've not picked up a gun before this, but the professor had this in his study, which was unusual for him as well. So he should have been surely was expecting some kind of violence or danger himself.
I was expecting something terrible had come to David, and I have not been without a weapon since I returned from France.
Well,
Mr. Harrow.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Harrow, do you know how to use that?
Not remotely. I hope it will not come to that, but
I'd be happy to teach you, Mr. Harrow.
I would be most appreciative, Mr. Church.
Weapons are more or less sorted, so where are we headed from here?
Because the barn's to the north, right?
No, it's to the south.
Oh, it's the south,
the obelisk
okay.
is to the southwest, and then the Casa de Diaz is to the north west, and then the people coming down the hills are in the northeast.
So they're coming down from that direction.
Yes, and circling
Okay.
around the town.
Jason, which direction was the gunshot from?
The northeast.
So maybe we take we go to where
Good
they're
question.
leaving, and because if the casa is in that vicinity, then we can assume that maybe.
Yeah. If they're I mean, if we go to the house first, then it'll take them longer to get back there if they're circling than if we went to the barn. So.
Exactly.
But if they have some sort of terrible thing happening at the barn or the obelisk,
That's right.
we will be after them.
Ooh, that is a very good point.
And the terrible thing could be happening to whoever it is we're coming looking for. So we might want to.
Maybe you should split up.
I was about to say, as much as I hate to say it, it's like there could be two of the more capable people could go in the the soldier can definitely be in more danger, but this.
I'm going to complicate your lives further.
Oh no!
When you go over to the bus, you find that they've put the tires out. There's no escaping Castronegro.
I feel like the barn is more pressing in terms of place
yeah.
where a ritual might be held, because it sounds like what James learned, that's the focus of any sacrificial sort of site.
Yeah, honestly, the way I'm thinking about it with Father Samuel is that despite the immediate danger of that, he would want to go towards that as opposed to wasting time and possibly lives. So yeah, I'm for barn personally.
Millicent will go house.
Maybe I'll go to the barn to split the party differently.
Norbert would be very uncomfortable letting Millicent go off on her own to that.
But maybe we should let her go off on her own.
No good choices.
No good choices.
I mean, we could have that discussion. Norbert, I appreciate your concern for me, but I am armed and I am quick. If I get into danger, well, I will do my best to get out of it. You have someone you're looking for, and you should go find them.
Who's taking the books that were in the private collection? Or are you splitting
James
them up?
will be taking whatever he can carry for
Mm.
sure.
I'll at least take the one with the obelisk, unless any of you are going to the obelisk and feel like you want a reference material. All right, I'll take it then.
There are a couple of others too, I'll tell you. There is so the one with the obelisk is the, hold on, I gotta find this part of the module. I mentioned it and then I didn't have it pulled up. The one that has the obelisk is the Liber Ivonis. There's another one called Prodigies in the New England Canaan, and then there's the Guide to Cannibalism.
Well, I already have one book on cannibalism, so I don't need two. So if one of you wants that.
Sure, I'll have whatever I can carry with me to reference.
I'll take the book on New England. What did you say it was?
Canaan, I guess. Canaan.
All right, I'll take that.
Only 2 A's there. I put 3 in the chat, but Canaan. Fantastic. So who's going where? So it sounds like Millicent's going up to the house then. Sounds like Father Samuel's going to the barn. James?
He'll go to the barn as well.
Norbert, you have the lead on the obelisk. You've seen the general direction where it is. You saw where the window was pointing to. Are you going there? Or are you going somewhere else?
Norbert is, I think, wary enough as a soldier, not wanting to split people up, and would want to concentrate as many of us together in the same place. So the barn and the obelisk are sort of 6 of one, half dozen the other. But what James has told me about the sacrifices make me think that it's time pressure sensitive. But I'm really reticent to let Millicent go off on her own. I'd ask if there's anything that we can do to convince her to come with us first. And perhaps all 4 of us could go to the house after the barn.
Oh, so do barn and obelisk first and then go to the house.
No, I'm just gonna split up. I'm just gonna go by myself if I need to.
Millicent's determined to go to the Casa de Diaz. Millicent also has information that she has not shared yet with you as well. There's a little bit of info there, I think, if I recall correctly. And has seen something of the Diaz's as well. So, well then, Norbert, the question is, are you going to follow Millicent whether she wants you to or not, or are you going to go somewhere else?
I don't think he's too much of a Boy Scout to insist that much, but he's very concerned for her. But if she says that she's more comfortable on her own and that she's shown that she's armed, he will reticently concede to the lady's wishes.
I don't know if it helps, but I'm curious if Millicent, when you reveal the gun, do we get an indication that you were you know what you're doing with this? Have you used it before, kind of thing?
I think between all the sort of because I've been dropping hints here and there, you watching her being able to pickpocket really quickly, and her on the bus. I feel like, she definitely is someone who has had to use this at some point or knows how to use it at least. So yeah, I think that she's definitely holding it the right way. She knows that the gun's off, knows how to turn it on if she needs to.
Complete opposite of James. So yeah.
Yes.
You'll have to search for the obelisk, but the barn you can find easily because it sticks out in the landscape, even in dark, even at night. So it sounds like 3 of you are headed to the barn first. You see it. There's no light coming from within. You're a few hundred paces away still. It's very quiet.
How far away are the torchbearers in relationship to the barn?
They're making pretty slow progress. You've got time. You've got time to go check it out. They're not right on your heels. So it's very quiet. You don't hear crickets. You don't hear owls or mice. You just hear the crunching of your shoes in the sand. But in the distance, the quiet is cut by the playing of a flute. A strange, discordant melody. A melody, it's not even a melody. You can't really pick up a melody at all. It's just flute playing. Coming from the direction of the barn. Faint, but definitely there. What do you all do?
What type of structure is it? Is it a 1-story, 2-story?
If you are examining it and the area around it as you approach, you can go ahead and do a die roll. I'll even give you 2 dice because I'm sure in the war you probably had to assess rural buildings like this as you move through.
5.
Good roll. It's an old, gray, half-ruined barn. The tall weeds all around it are twisted and unhealthy looking. As I've noted before, there's no sounds of animal life. Indeed, all you can hear is just this faint playing of a flute coming from somewhere in the general vicinity of the barn. The barn itself is 1 story, though it does look like it has a loft area up above. You can see as you get a little closer that the barn doors are locked with a large padlock. You might be able to climb in through the loft opening, or you can try to undo the locks via some kind of lock picking, or if you have a tool of some sort.
Can I easily discern what the barn is typically used for? Is it livestock or is it feed? Is it hay? What's it used for?
Since you rolled so well, I'll tell you that there's no sign of livestock. There are no droppings. There's no smell of livestock or sounds of livestock. There's just the flute, which is louder as you get closer, but still muffled and faint.
If nothing else, the Lord graced me with rather tall frame. I'd be willing to help give someone a boost up to the loft if they'd like to perhaps find a means of getting the rest of us inside.
Father, before we enter, I can see. I am afraid as you are. I fear what we will find in here, and I'm not much of a religious man, but my grandmother was, and perhaps, well, perhaps you might have some words for us before we face what we must face here. Is there perhaps a small prayer that could just gather our courage and we can approach this as one mind? Surely you have something to offer us.
Yeah, Father Samuel does. I don't. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Father Samuel will like shakily kind of like he's been holding his like clutching his rosary like with like a death grip this whole time. But he kind of like takes in like this he kind of like just deep breath in. I'll just do the standard one because that's what comes to mind. Just being like, yes, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. He does some other stuff as well, just kind of like it's calming him a bit more to just to recite and take a few breaths and just kind of steadies himself.
Norbert, as Father Samuel is saying his prayer, actually, we'll just paint the scene. As Father Samuel recites his prayer, what makes us think that God is dead here?
The absolute silence. This far outside of town, in the middle of the wilderness, it should be at least, there should be the sounds of night, not just the disembodied sounds of the flute being played in a barn that serves no obvious purpose. It's disturbing, unnerving.
We see stars in the sky, and the sky starts to grow darker as if there's a cloud or they're just blinking out. and there's just void above us.
Grass here is brown and dead, but it's all seems to be very centralized in the radius of the barn. It was a little bit more lush outside, not too much more lush, but clearly here it's been sapped of life.
I don't know how to answer that as Father Samuel.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I do think I'm going to make James and Norbert make an insight roll. Norbert got a 2.
Mm.
And James, what'd you get?
4.
4.
Actually, I do have an idea because I want to get on the insight roll
action.
club. Yeah, exactly. I do. Which is the thing I actually say that like when he begins to calm down, he begins to like do additional like some other prayers that come to mind. He starts speaking in a language that's not his, and it takes him a moment to realize that he's not that he's saying something like a dead language. It's not Latin. It's nothing he's ever heard of before.
Go ahead and make it. James got a 4, so James is staying where he was.
Yeah, it goes up to 5. Yep, there it is. I rolled a 6.
Father Samuel, how are you feeling right now?
I think he actually, when he realizes what's happening, he like blanches completely, face a ghastly white, all the blood draining away. And he was gripping his rosary so hard that blood begins to drip out through his palm, and he just goes numb and drops it to the dusty earth with the droplets of his fume of his blood. And I think he just his knees wobble as he looks up to the sky, suddenly stricken by whatever this is.
You are now entitled to do suppressing knowledge. When your insight reaches 5, you may reduce it by suppressing the knowledge that you have gained. Each time you do this, you roll the insight die. If you get less than your current insight, you decrease it by 1. You can keep going, even after it reduces below 5. Essentially, you have to destroy evidence of what you've learned so far.
I was really hoping that we would come to this. So good. Yeah.
Suppressing mythos knowledge. It is a thing. Let's check in with Millicent Reed. Millicent, if we're taking a look at the map, the fastest way to reach the Casa de Diaz is up Garcia Way, between the Changeling and the hotel. You can follow that road for a little bit. Before you reach the Casa de Diaz, however, you come upon something on the side of the road that is very interesting, I would say. It's a large marble door set into the side of a steep hill. Very unusual. What do you do?
Is there any marking on it or any kind of like signage?
Yeah, I'll tell you just what you see. I don't need you to roll. You see that there's basically a placard that says, it basically just bears like the name, both the names Diaz and Vilela Pereira, and their family crests sort of intertwined.
What is on their family crest?
I don't actually know, but we'll say, oh, no, I do know. One features a stylized rat, one features a stylized toad.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And is there like a visible handle or knob?
It looks like it can be pushed open, yeah.
Yeah, I think she'll very carefully push it open, try to see if she can hear anything first before entering.
Go ahead and make a single die roll.
That's a 1.
You open it up, and you hear nothing.
All right. Well, hearing nothing, she'll open it up as much as she can to get in, but like without keeping it obvious that she's just throwing it open. But she'll pull out her like Zippo lighter so that she can light the way, and she'll head deeper inside until she does hear something, and then we'll see what happens.
Inside, lining the walls of a chamber inside the hill, are 20 sarcophagi, standing erect or vertically. Their doors opened. Each of them has an open sarcophagus door, and inside 19 of them is a mummy, desiccated, skeletal, and each sarcophagus has a placard indicating who resides within. I'm going to clip that for you and paste it here.
Do the mummies all have the sort of elongated features?
Yes.
And what does the placard of the missing sarcophagus say?
I've just posted all of the placards.
Oh, okay,
so it's in 2 different uploads there. You can read through, you can study it as you wish and come to your own conclusions.
Okay.
While you're doing that. But first, for seeing this in general, I want you to make an insight roll.
Well, of course.
Okay, you got 2. You're good. You're in your element, I think.
Yeah, I've seen dead bodies my day. Yeah.
While you're studying the placards and the sarcophagi, let's check back in with the other group. Father Sam, you are entitled to do suppressing knowledge. Do you want to sneak off and do that now, or what do you want to do? Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait?
No, I need to wait a moment. I need a clear window. I'm waiting a moment. Yeah.
Very good. So if you're going in the barn, we got to figure out how to do it. You can try to clamber up to the open loft area, or you can try to undo the padlock in the front.
Is there anything around the outside of the barn? Barrels, hay bales?
That could be stacked or whatever.
Yeah, oil cans, water barrels, anything?
Yeah, there's probably like barrels, and there's probably like some crates and things that could be moved around pretty easily. I'll give you that since you got a 5 on your last roll.
And anything that's potentially flammable or that we could jury rig into a weapon or a battering ram if we needed to do something like that?
Yeah, I think there's gasoline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all good to know. Before I take Father Samuel's help, having heard him speak in some strange foreign tongue that he hasn't seemed to have before, now he looks like he's about to throw up. I will stack maybe if I get James's help, some crates together to see if we can manage to get up to the loft.
Yeah, you can be doing that. No trouble. Once you make your little stack, do you then climb up to the loft area?
Sorry, Mr. Church, I don't think I'm best suited for this.
Yeah, I know. James has an injury on his leg.
I was planning to make entrance and open the doors on the other side for you, James.
Well, it's padlocked from the outside, so unless you intend to...
I see. Yeah. Then yes. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought they thought it was locked. I guess I will do. Is there anything like a bar or something that we can jam in between the padlock to break it open or pound it open?
You might be able to find something inside if one of you wants to climb in there.
So I will climb inside to look for something to come back out and open the door.
As you go inside the barn, you can tell now that the flute playing, which has not ceased, is coming from beneath the barn. It's not in the barn. It's louder, but it's definitely muffled by the floor. You also see, looking down, on the east side of the barn, there is a lot of stacked up crates, like a great big pile of crates on one half of the barn. In fact, I've got like a little rough map of the barn. I'll just clip it for you. Pop that into the images there. So you're coming in from the left-hand side there. That's where the sort of loft is. And then perpendicular to that is the entrance. And then you're kind of looking out at those stacks of crates on the far side.
And there's no one else in here, no light source either, Jason?
There's no light source. You've got a little bit of ambient moonlight coming in from the place that you've climbed up into. So minus a light source, you'd have to find one in order to get a better look in a die roll. So
is there any lantern or torch or candle in the barn that I could light?
I don't think so. You'd have to get down there. There's a ladder that lets you get down.
I'll do that.
If you want to poke around in the dark, it's 1 die. And I'm going to roll against you here. I got a 1, so you're good. You got a 4. Yeah, you can find a lantern. No trouble.
Okay, I'd light that up. First things first, I would look to see if there was something I could use to pry the padlock on the outside.
Yeah, there's probably like a crowbar.
Okay. And then also the crates, just a quick cursory investigation. Is there something inside of them? Do they smell a certain way?
Make another roll.
Six, a horrible 6.
But maximum information, though. There's a pile of crates in the east corner. The ground is covered with rotted straw. There were animal stalls in the barn, but they have all been removed. The crates appear to be largely empty. But if you look behind them, you find 6 neatly folded black velvet robes, 2 silver sickles, and 3 of those little green statuettes. The flute playing is also much louder, though still underground behind here. Go ahead and make an insight roll, Norbert. You got a 2. You're keeping it together. Let's check in with Father Samuel and James. Father Samuel and James, what are you doing while Norbert's poking around in the barn? You can see those torches gradually getting closer and closer to... it's unclear if they're going to your position or if they're going towards the obelisk, but they're going to one of them, presumably.
Father, are you all right?
I seem to have I seem to have experienced a rather severe bout of something there. He's a little catatonic.
Do you need to, have you like fallen to the ground? Did you say
he's like kind of like stooping with a hand up on the barn, like he looks like he's beginning to like slowly sink, but like he's still upright, I'd say. I think I'll
catch your breath a moment and like help you sit down. Yeah.
Yes. That's a wonderful idea. Yes. He sits down and says, "Thank you. Thank you. It's just all this exertion, of course."
Mr. Church will find a way, and he knows what he's doing, I'm sure. And
Mr. Harrow, I don't suppose we'd be as lucky to find it, but would you be willing to, since my legs seem to have failed me, and I know yours are injured as well, perhaps there is a functioning water pump in the vicinity of this barn. I feel I could use a moment to splash my face at least, perhaps find some comfort in something to ground myself. if you'd,
Of course. And he will walk around the corner.
Mr. Harrow, may I, might I see that that book you're carrying?
Sure. He'll whatever books I've got from the private section of the library, I'll leave them with you.
Mm-hmm. When Harrow walks away, Father Samuel's going to stare at those books. I'm going to start with the Liber Ivanis and start ripping out pages and burning them.
Nice. Go ahead and roll an insight die. If you get under 5, you get to lower your insight.
3, I lower my insight.
So your insight goes down to 4. How does it make you feel better? How are you regaining control?
It starts with like a shaky hand, like reaching up to a single page and just like pulling this, I imagine like older text, just like from its, just tearing it. And then it just goes into like big, like large, like chunks and just tearing out pages. It's a bit of like venting by means of just this like physical exertion. But as he like finds some mean to like set fire to it, I imagine like maybe the like a kerosene lantern we had brought with us, he just like kind of like just shatters it on the ground in front of him just to set fire, and just still holding his rosary with a little bit of blood that still trickles from his now closing wound, just begins to like recite prayers of casting out evil and the Lord's will be done. And it's kind of like, I think by the time like it's probably gonna get to like a little bit like louder still, like to a point where even Harrow and Church would hear it, of just like almost like sermonizing, like exorcising evils. It's a bit of raving, honestly.
If James Harrow comes back, are you trying to hide that you're doing this, or will he just see you doing it?
Oh, he'll absolutely just see me doing it. Yeah.
I think you do, James. You didn't have any luck with water pump, so let's check in with Millicent. Millicent, you were looking at all these sarcophagi. Each of them has a placard listing a de Diaz or a Vilela Pereira from history, their date of birth, their date of death. For example, Fernando de Diaz, 1594 to 1683. Filippo Vilela Pereira from 1632 to 1724. Magdalena de Diaz, etc.
Is it safe to assume that the one that's open is Bernardo de Diaz?
Indeed. The one that's open, they're all open, but the one that has nobody in it, is Bernardo de Diaz, 1580. No death date given.
Yeah. That's what I figured. Could I just do maybe like a quick investigation to see if I find any sort of like items on them of importance, or any kind of like maybe like hidden texts, or even like hidden,
sure,
trapdoors or something? Yeah,
probably a 1 die.
Can I get a second because I'm surrounded by dead people?
Oh, sure, yeah. Like maybe they're communicating with you in some way. Yeah, I like that.
Vibrations,
Vibrations, yes.
The 2.
A 2.
Can I put an insight into that?
Sure.
All right. That's a 6 on the dark.
Let's make it creepy. How are you doing this? What does this look like?
So, sort of going into that sort of spiritualist medium thing, I think that she has with her like one of those small crystal pendulums on a thin silver chain, and she's got her lighter in one hand and the pendulum in another. She's sort of like gently swinging it to see if it sort of guides her in any sort of direction, trying to get whatever spiritual energy or vibrations to sort of pull her in a certain direction towards something relevant.
There's a slight shifting of one of the mummies. You see dust flaking down into the ground. All of the mummies were staring straight ahead, but when you hear this sound, you see that this one has turned its head, or its head is turned ever so slightly. and its hands, which were crossed, one is pointing at something. I want you to make an insight roll really quickly, just because this mummy might have just moved.
That's a 1.
And we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and see what you learned. Norbert, still muffled by the floor, but the flute playing is definitely louder underneath one particular crate. What do you do?
Do I hear Father Samuel having a breakdown outside in addition to the louder but muffled flute playing?
I don't think so.
Okay. I still am conscious that I need to get them inside. I think I would toss the crowbar out through the opening in the loft and just shout out to them to break open the loft. And there's that the flute playing is coming from inside here under the floor.
Let's pick up with Father Samuel and James. James, you just caught Father Samuel destroying one of the books.
James is gonna panic, absolutely. Father, what are you doing?
It is evil! Copies. It is instruments of the darkness! Evil and vile abominations!
James is gonna try to shove you aside and grab if there's any that aren't burned yet, but it may be
so
late.
Easily shoved aside. Yeah, like collapses in a heap, just ranting and rambling about casting out evil.
I'm stamp out any flames, try to salvage what I can.
I will tell you that the appearance of fire near the barn definitely seems to have gotten the attention of the people, the line of torchbearers in the distance, because they pause briefly and you can see them harrying now, cutting down your amount of time that you have to do whatever you're going to do here. The crowbar has been tossed out front. What do you both do?
I don't think James would notice the torches, but maybe if there's the sound of a crowbar falling, then I will register that Norbert is trying to help us.
Yeah. If you take the time to just pry the lock or the chain, bust the chain out, you can do that. That's fine. As long as you both are doing that. Samuel, are you going to help with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he kind of numbly follows into step, but is beginning to register things again. There was a yeah, I'm helping.
Norbert, you can hear them busting the lock open. I'm not going to make them roll for that. You did find this pile of black robes and the statuettes, and you also can tell where the flute playing is coming from. What are you doing right now?
I'm collecting up the statuettes. I'm putting on one of the robes and taking one of the sickles and taking the other robes and sickles out to my 2 companions to gear up. And I'm also dragging in that canister of gasoline I found before.
Oh, that's great. So Norbert is passing sickles and robes into your hands. What do you two do?
Like a wolf amidst the flock. Yes. Clever thinking, Mr. Church, as always. Yes, we are in the trenches now, I suppose. He's throwing the
I'm going to give the priest a very hard, long look.
The priest is losing it.
James will sort of numbly take the things, but he's still muttering about just to burn books. I understand, Father, this might give you comfort, but that we could have had answers in that.
There are no answers in the works of the devil, young man. This we learn, this we know. There is only darkness and corruption to be found.
Father James, I know you are both reticent, perhaps afraid, but steel yourself. I fear the worst is yet to come. If it is anything like what we witnessed below the tobacconist's shop, Father, there is something in the darkness below this barn, and I intend to see to its end.
Do you push the crate aside then to see what it is? When you push the crate aside, there is a hole in the floor. And now the flute music, unhindered by the crate, it is discordant, up-tempo, wild. It is worming its way into all three of your heads. I would like for you each to make an insight roll. James got a 2. Father Samuel got a 3. What'd you get, Norbert? Norbert got a 1. You're all fine for now. There is a ladder that goes down into the hole. What do you do?
Has it seemed to pick up tempo as if it's anticipating us coming into the barn, or is it just?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It's the same. It's just you can hear it very clearly now.
Mr. Church, if you'd like a free hand with which to ready a weapon in case anything vile should arise, I will carry this can of gasoline for you and accompany you down the pit.
Thank you, Father. I think it's best if we try to look like we are about the business of this terrible infernal place. Pull up the cowl on your robe, carry your sickle out front, and try to hide the canister. I will take the stair first, and I will conceal my gun beneath my robes.
Yes, very smart thinking indeed.
Are you going down the ladder? When you go down the ladder, you're in a small, long, narrow chamber. Inside is something that you have never seen before, and if you survive this, you will hopefully never see again. It looks vaguely like a frog or a snake, large, the size of a man, though it is wrapped and surrounded by a halo of writhing tentacles. It sways back and forth. It sways back and forth, playing a flute, a set of pan flutes that it holds in its little withered hands. Everyone, please make an insight roll.
One.
3.
Norbert got a 6. Norbert, your insight goes up to 4. What are you thinking right now as you look at this monstrosity?
I unload the broom handle Mauser into it.
You're shooting?
Oh, I think I've just lost it. My cool has been kept up to this point, and this thing has just pushed me way over the edge.
That absolutely gets its attention. The flute playing actually doesn't stop, but it lunges forward. I will tell you this, Father Samuel and James, since you're keeping it together. There is something on the other side of the creature, something lit with candles, an altar space, skulls, items piled up. You can see something over there, but this monstrosity is now rushing toward you in this tunnel. I want to pick up with Millicent, but Millicent's not here yet, or here at the moment. So, with all that said, Norbert, this thing rushes right at you. You are going to have to do something to survive. You can't fight these things. All you can do is run. Do you run? And if you do run, which direction do you run in?
You said it was bigger than a man. Does it take up the whole tunnel space?
No, you could conceivably get around it.
And it's certainly distracted by the firing of the gun. So it hears me, but it hasn't stopped. And the gun is doing nothing to it, obviously.
The gun's doing nothing. I think it's aware of you, but it's because it's moving rapidly in your direction, but it's still kind of swaying and playing its music.
Yeah, if I can get past it, I would try to get past it. Maybe if I recognize that the gun's doing nothing, I would put the gun back inside my robes and see if the sickle that came with the robes has any impact on being able to move around it. Not necessarily attack it, but to keep it at bay.
This is just going to be a die roll. I'll let you have 2 dice. I'm going to roll against you. Anybody who wants to roll against you can as well, if you think it would be interesting for Norbert to fail right now. I just rolled a 1, so I should be pretty easy
I
to beat.
do think it would be interesting for Norbert to fail right now, so I'll indulge in that.
Just have to beat a 3.
5.
A 5. I mean, this is going to be it for Norbert. James, unless you see Norbert's in trouble and want to help him.
I think James will try to help. I assume this is going to be a very painful scramble down the ladder, maybe wildly shooting this weapon to distract it. Pretty panicked, but trying to do what he can.
We'll do your help die in a moment. Let's check in with Millicent. Millicent, the mummy is pointing at another one next to her, at the hand of that one. The hand on that mummy has a ring carved from some sort of strange blue stone depicting a toad. What do you do?
She feels like this is a sign from the spirits. I think she's going to try and lift it from this corpse.
You can take it. Then what?
Does she get any sort of vibration from it? Does anything sort of manifest when she's holding it or puts it on?
It is an object of power, to be sure.
She will very carefully put it on her ring finger and
make an insight roll.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, 3.
Okay. So what does it feel like to put this ring on, this ring that is thrumming with magical energy?
She's very hesitant at first, but she's made it this far on her guile, and she very carefully slips it on, and she closes her eyes as she does. She can smell the dead. She can feel the dampness, the coolness in this space, despite the fact that they're all sort of desiccated. There's like this almost like clamminess, almost as if like it's like a swampy amphibianness to the space. And maybe it's just the ring itself that's giving her this feeling, but either way, she takes this sensation in, opens her eyes, and when she realizes that she hasn't mysteriously turned into a toad or something, she sighs relief, and she goes back to looking towards the front entrance to make sure that there's nothing coming in to find her.
James, Norbert has the sickle, swinging it, trying to get around this creature. The creature just body checks Norbert up against the tunnel wall, using its slithery reptilian bulk. Just smacks Norbert up against the wall. All the while, the flute music is still playing, strange and weird, worming its way into your consciousness and your subconsciousness. You can tell that this is going to be it for Norbert unless you do something. What do you do?
So I actually had a different idea of what I will try. I think.
And also, Norbert, you can add an insight roll, an insight die as well to try to survive this too. So
I think experiences from the last few hours are just running through James's head, and it's just maybe if I've seen or heard that he's fired off his gun and nothing's changed, I think he sees a waving sickle. He will take out his sickle as well and wave it, and just say like,
May Norbert scream something? Can I scream something at James?
Sure, yeah.
Shoot the flute!
Oh,
The flute.
Doesn't Norbert re-roll the pool if he adds his insight?
Yeah, if
dice
you add
to
your
it?
insight now, you roll the whole pool again. Yeah. Or at least your contribution to it. But I'm just curious if James can save him here.
I think what James is going to try to do, I'm not really sure where this is coming from for him, but he's remembering how his blood was tasted. And I think as he comes down the ladder, that wound, that bandage is dripping. And I think he just like tears the bandage off and draws the scythe against his wound to have some blood on it, and just shakily says like an offering. Take this, and holds it up to, I don't know, see if that will get its attention.
Roll a die. You can add an insight die if you want, or you can wait till after you roll.
Sure, I will roll one first. That's a 6.
Okay. And also Norbert got a 5 on the reroll. So yeah, Norbert, you're saved. Just describe to me how you saved Norbert. What does this look like?
I think whatever's light down here, that's down here, glints off of just a few drops of blood coming from the scythe, and James is kind of shaking, and blood trickling from his wound from the scythe, and the scent of that maybe catches the attention of this thing.
Father Samuel, what are you doing right now?
I think Father Samuel is going to be making a dead sprint at that altar thing. He sees the candlelight, quite literally a light in the darkness, and he is his mind is spinning in the face of this horror. He's going only towards the only thing that he can see, which is and is like kind of like going towards that to see what happened, like to see what's there
On the other side of the creature.
Yeah,
I think while the
skirting
creature's
around like the room. Yeah,
while James is keeping the creature distracted, Norbert, and you're kind of gathering yourself from this attack. Father Samuel, you can get to the other side. On the other side, there is what is essentially a kind of a little niche carved into the wall, an altar space, though. There are candles. There are, things set about, like, things scratched on the walls, symbols and things like that. But placed in the niche, in a place of reverence, are 3 fairly fresh adult skulls. There's still little bits of meat and blood on them. Please make an insight roll.
back to 5.
You are back to 5. What are you thinking right now?
I think I think Father Samuel finally throws up. Like, it's been building up so long, and then this just like gruesome display of still fleshy skulls. He just doubles over, and mind reeling with the shrieking flute and the sounds of the gunshots. It's a cinematic moment where it just becomes a full tinnitus drone of just a shrill like ringing in his ears as he just drops to his knees, like clutching the sides of his head, trying to shut out all these terrible noises, looking with panicked and wild eyes at these hellish implements and unholy rites. I think he's just then going to like start smashing whatever reverence these things hold. Is unworthy of belonging. It is a tool of the Lord shall destroy it.
Make a suppressed mythos knowledge roll.
Yeah, having a great time. So that's just I roll 1 die, right?
An insight die, yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds good. That goes back down to 4.
Very well. Norbert, James, there's nothing else to learn on that side of the creature. You've got to get out of here. Do you? If you both just leave right now, you can leave. Father Samuel will have a tougher time of it unless you stay.
If Norbert has seen the skulls piled up there, I'm going to be very concerned that I don't get a chance to look for David's body.
And indeed, Father Samuel's smashing it all up.
Just destroying bones. Just like screaming and all that.
And the only escape is to get out now and to leave Father Samuel behind, smashing it all up.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I think also James is just in a panic. He's seen this happen. He's turning and scrambling up the ladder, but he's probably not very quick about it. So
you are fairly slow because of your leg, yeah. But as long as you leave, you can leave.
I would at least yell to bring Father Samuel out of his revelry of destruction so that he's aware that we're trying to make her escape.
Father Samuel, by the time you get hold of yourself, you realize that this creature is standing between you and the exit. It is coming towards you. It's still playing that maddening flute music. Its tendrils are haloing all around it. It's bobbing left and right, taking up as much of the tunnel space as it can, ready to strike. Let's pick up with Millicent. Millicent, are you heading out of the vault and continuing up the road?
I am, yes.
You are heading up to the Casa de Diaz, a black stone horror looming high on the tallest hill, about a half-mile out of town. It's in pretty bad disrepair. You can tell that even from just the moonlight, as if it's been abandoned for a number of years, even decades. You are immediately approached by 4 large black Doberman pinchers. These black Doberman pinchers, they don't bark. They just sort of they bare their flat human-like teeth at you in a snarl, and you can see their emerald green eyes glittering in the moonlight. But they're definitely rushing towards you. Please make an insight roll first.
I feel like I, as a player, as a person, need to make an insight roll for that. That's okay. 3.
Fight or flight? What are you doing?
She's made it this far, but I think she's going to flight, but into the house.
Very well. This is going to be a roll. I'm going to roll against you. And anybody else who wants to roll against you may. You got a 2 from me.
So can I justify my occupation since I'm heading into the thick of the sort of mystical space, this sort of occult atmosphere?
You're just running away from some nasty, weird, green-eyed dogs.
They're really weird dogs.
They are really weird dogs.
All right.
You only got to beat a 2.
5.
Okay, very well. Please describe your successful escape into the house.
She sees them approaching with those strange human flat teeth baying at her, and she instinctively puts out her hand, the one with the ring on it, sort of showing it to them, the blue toad on it, hoping that maybe there will be some recognition. But when there isn't, she then shows them her gun and sort of pointing it at them, backing away into the house. She sort of jets inside, pushing the door shut behind her and pressing her back against it, sort of breathing heavily with her purse and her gun pressed to her chest.
Nice. Father Samuel, what do you do right now?
Father Samuel sees the creature before him and picks up the gas canister and is going to just gonna quickly unscrew it and just like splash throw it to the ground. I think he had snagged a lighter earlier at the tobacco shop, maybe something. It just like he had grabbed it as like was like fiddling with it to stabilize himself, and he like throws it out of the ground, hopefully to create like just some like flames to deter this thing long enough to buy him the opportunity to maybe get out of here alive.
If you don't, You're a goner. I'm rolling against you. I got a 2
Yeah.
again. All I can get is 2 on these rolls against.
What am I rolling?
1 die, I think.
Yeah, that tracks. Okay. 2?
You got a 2 as well?
Yeah.
I didn't beat you, so I'm pretty sure that you still succeed. Let me
Okay.
check it. Let me check the rule here. Competing or failing, actually. If someone thinks would be fail, if their failure dies higher. Okay, so I didn't roll higher than you. So you succeed, but like you succeed badly with a 2. I think you escape, but not before taking serious burns to your body. I think you come out of the tunnel on fire and they have to put you out. Unless you want to add an insight die to have a cleaner escape than that.
Oh, I absolutely. I'll try. Yeah, why not? Because I mean, I'm facing a mythos abomination. This is 100% the room for that. 4 does not go up. Oh wait, I get.
You gotta roll. You gotta roll them both.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, an extra light die to that. So of the 2, the mythos die is higher or insight die is higher, which is a 4. Does not go up though.
Make an insight roll. We'll account for it with just the general horror of this situation, but otherwise you'll escape pretty cleanly.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'll do that too. Does not go up. That's a 2.
Describe your escape.
Yeah, I still think he gets some like minor like first degree burns, reddening on his hands and like face just from the proximity to the heat. But there is a severity to the situation that actually like shocks him into clear thinking, and he ceases his ramblings and his ravings. And realizes what's happening as the flames catch. He knows, he recalls the proverb of a drowning sailor who spurns other people to aid him in the sea, and when he meets God is just like, I sent people to get you, why did you insist on me saving you, something like that. So he's just like, I need to get out of here. So he just kind of like arms up against the flames, trying not to look at this abomination. He tries like kind of like maneuver through, but has like leap through a part of like a bit of the flames as well, cowering and running and sprinting to begin to like quickly shamble up the ladder.
Norbert and James, you're already up there before Father Samuel makes it to where you're at. You can see the torches outside of the barn. You can hear commotion and voices as at least some number of the cultists have split off to go check out what's going on at the barn. You actually hear one of them say, keep going to the sacrificial site. And you can hear muffled like they've got someone that they're dragging to the sacrificial site, but at least some of the cultists are there. Now you're all wearing the robes. That might be to your benefit, but in any case, what do you do, Norbert?
That was the first thing I was going to check. So they are all in robes as well. So we look like we could.
Yeah. You look like you could be part of them. Yeah.
Then quickly checking on Father Samuel. Has he made it to the ladder yet?
I think you can hear the commotion.
Because I would want to close the trap door to kind of quiet down the commotion to see if we can blend in with him, but only if he's safely on the ladder.
Let's roll. Let's see if the timing all works out. I'm gonna roll against you with a 1. Jesus, I can't roll. My rolls suck. A 4. You're good. Yeah. Father Samuel, you'll be able to kind of, the timing will all work out, and you can even like kind of maybe you distract them long enough for Father Samuel to get out of the hole. Like, what does that look like?
What does that look like?
So James can cover the hole back up, right? Like they kind of come in and they're like, what's going on in there?
It's hard for Norbert with his speech to blend in easy, so I can't even easily engage with.
Are we basically miming right now? Just like,
yeah.
You can see those green eyes piercing in the darkness. Father
James
Samuel
is up there. Sorry.
Yeah. Father Samuel, you can hear him. He's coming. The two cultists, they're kind of coming around the bend to see what's going on. Norbert, what do you do?
I think Norbert might try to lure them to the trap door by, with his cowl down, conscious of his face and his eyes. Um,
The flute has stopped, brothers. I think we should investigate. Something has happened below.
They say, of course it's stopped because we have not finished the sacrifices. The two men were no trouble and that ridiculous strumpet, but we have the boy, and they're like, hurry, come. And they even see you, James, like over by the crate. They're like, leave that. And they're kind of trying to hurry you up. And you can get Father Samuel somewhat singed and burned out of the hole. What do you all do?
Get him up with his cowl on and his sickle out and like, come, brother.
Yes. Getting the fuck out. Should we?
What do you do?
Do we?
I think we just blend in. I think we
blend
just
in.
blend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try to. Yeah, I'm just going to try to huddle in with James and Father Samuel and just.
It's like in the Mummy, just following the crowd, and just Imhotep.
Let's keep going. Let's kick with Millicent. Millicent, you get into the Casa de Diaz. I think you come in through basically a little entry hall that kind of connects up to a large, like, kind of living area, dining room to one side, library to one side, some stairs going down, kitchen at the far end. That's just at a quick glance. And there's also an upper floor as well. You can hear commotion or sounds coming from down below. There's clearly someone or something down there.
I think she's going to use that opportunity, since they're occupied downstairs, to see what's going on upstairs, to see if there's anything that she can glean while she assumes no one's up there.
If you head upstairs, the upper hall is carpeted with a deteriorating Persian rug. And there are portraits of Diaz's and Valela Pereira's. There's guest rooms, there's a storage room, there's a master bedroom. Where do you go first?
Go to the master bedroom first.
It's evidently some sort of sleeping place for whoever lives here. There's a canopied bed, a dresser, some clothes from various styles kind of laying out. But you can look around a little more closely if you wish.
I would wish to.
What do you do? Just like toss the place or poke your
Yeah,
head
just
in
tossing the
wardrobes?
place as discreetly as I can, but yeah, just tossing, looking through things.
Make a
It's a 3.
Make a roll. Yeah. You don't see anything of interest, although you will find that in the wardrobe, there's a really odd mixture of clothings. There's like some that looks like it's from the Conquistador era, pantaloons and bits of armor, but also some that looks like it's more Victorian in nature. It's like a little history of fashion up to this point inside the wardrobes. There's also a portrait of presumably Bernardo de Diaz in conquistador garb. This is hanging above the bed. And on his shoulder, there is a rat whispering into his ear in the portrait. Make an insight roll.
Two.
You're keeping it together. I don't think there's anything else to find here. What do you do?
Yeah. I think she should take stock of the wardrobe, because I assume it sort of matches the wardrobe of the people at the seance that she
Yeah,
saw.
yeah. It all kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, she'll keep going through the rest of the top floor, just sort of seeing if there's anything that looks interesting, anything that points to its history or anything like that.
I think that like there's a storage room that's just filled with unused furniture and spiders and other vermin. There are some guest rooms, but all the guest rooms have had the furniture covered by tarps and sheets. Probably haven't been used for who knows how long, decades, I'm sure. But since you're kind of, I will give you a single die roll since you're keeping your eyes open for things. See if you find something of interest.
5.
Oh, very good. In the dust of one of the rooms, you can actually see footprints moving along in the dust. Footprints that they're like boot prints, but they have like a cross shape in the middle. And they go to just a wall and then stop.
Do they look to be larger, or do they look to be maybe a smaller size?
They look like large men's boots.
Yeah. She'll very carefully approach, see if there's like if it's one of those doors that like you press open, sort of knock on it, pressing your ear to see if it's hollow.
It does. It's on a hinge and it opens up.
Okay. She will open it very carefully.
There's a spiraling staircase going down. Do you go down?
She will swallow the lump in her throat and she will descend.
As you're going down the stairs, the ring is vibrating more and more as you go down and down. By the time you reach the landing at the bottom of the stairs, it's like your whole hand is shaking because of the energy coming off this toad ring. You are here at something. We'll pick up with the rest of the group. The cultists all eventually catch up to each other, and they are following a line to the obelisk. When you catch up with the rest of the group, you realize, Father Samuel, that they have Joaquin Villela Pereira bound and gagged, being dragged through the desert, quite undressed, but it's definitely Joaquin. When they arrive at the obelisk, assuming you don't do anything before then, you will arrive at the obelisk. It's a prehistoric stone obelisk, about 15 feet tall, somewhat hidden because you have to go kind of around and underneath a rocky outcropping to reach it. Everything within 50 feet of this thing feels dead. The grass is dead. Flowers are dead. You can see crickets and roadrunners and other things just dead on the ground. You yourselves, it almost feels like something is dying within you just being near this thing. I would like for you each to make an insight roll.
2.
And I'm back to 5 again.
How'd you do, Norbert?
1.
1. Father Samuel, how are you feeling? By looking at this obelisk, how does it make you feel? How is it pushing you close to the edge? You keep clawing your way back, but I'm not sure how much longer that will be the case.
There is a very stark difference between something being ungodly and something making him feel like no God could not exist if this thing is before me. If such horrors on this earth are here, then either God has no power or God is not real, something to that effect. He's feeling daunted, struck, alone, insignificant. Pick your word. And he's just cold, clammy, and realizing that it might all be for nothing.
Millicent, the little landing connects directly to a doorway. There's a room on the other side of the doorway from which there is a strange, sickly green light pouring. You can see shadows of figures moving around in that room, and you can hear voices. Yes, yes. That's all right. Another disappointment, but you're still family. Don't feel too bad about it. The probabilities are entirely against you. Only 1 in every 300 of you is able to function like a normal person. But that's all right. You shall simply join your fellows down below. Let's take a 5-minute break. Millicent, you're listening to this conversation from the landing, and then you hear the man say, "What's that, greedy gut? There's someone listening to our conversation even now? Well, I do hope they aren't going to be so rude as to eavesdrop and would instead introduce themselves to us. Hello, who is that out there? Don't be frightened. Please come in."
Does the voice sound familiar?
No.
Yeah, she will have her gun behind her back in one hand, and with the other, the hand with the ring sort of at her side, she will very cautiously step off the landing and move closer to the voice.
When you go inside the room, you see all manner of things. It looks like some sort of laboratory. There are people in cages, little kids mostly, but also some adults. There are people laying on tables strapped down. They look very similar to the long-limbed, green-eyed Diaz's and Vilela Pereira's, but naked. The man who spoke to you couldn't look more different. Well, he could, but he looks quite different. He's wearing an elegant black suit with a cape, and he has salt and pepper hair and a beard. He has the green Diaz Vilela Pereira eyes, but his features are normal in proportion. He's quite handsome, actually. He says, "My name is Bernardo Diaz. I am the owner of this lovely estate. And who might you be?"
Bernardo, Mr. Diaz, with all due respect, you should be, what, 300 years old?
Oh, you've done your research, I see. Yes, I suppose that's about right. 300, 400. One loses count at a certain point. And he goes to, take your hand as if to kiss your hand, because that's what a gentleman would do. And he sees that you have the toad ring, and you see that he has a ring with a rat on it, a red ring with a rat. And he says, Where did you get that?
No, I picked it up along the way.
I bet you did. Probably where you learned of my current circumstance.
What sort of circumstance would keep you animate for so long?
Well, I would like to say it's science of a sort. All of the townspeople, they're caught up in all this witchcraft nonsense that the Herreras and Garcias go on about. I'm sure even now, as we speak, they're sacrificing someone at the base of their ridiculous obelisk. I, however, am a man of science. Yes, it's true, the magic has its uses, but I like to think that I use the magic in a scientific way. And he goes over to a little kid, like a 5-year-old kid in a cage. A little boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. And he says, he kind of reaches his hand in, and he kind of strokes the kid's cheek. And he's muttering something. And the kid just like, their eyes widen. Their hair goes black. Their eyes go green. And they begin to scream as they like distend and stretch. And they fall down to the bottom of their cage, wailing. And he looks at you and says, "Fingers crossed." Make an insight roll.
Yeah, I figured. 5. So it does mean I go up to 5.
You go up to 5. He says, "I'm sorry, madam. Are you seeing something that's disturbing to you? Does my particular fusion of magic and scientific inquiry bother you, madam? Are you feeling most disturbed?"
Does he count as a monster?
He counts as you cannot fight him to win, yeah?
Okay. Could I, knowing that he's basically immortal, could I shoot him to try and A, destroy something that is mythos related, and B, to get away?
No, you can destroy something mythos related by maybe putting the little kid out of its misery, or
yeah, I think that,
or destroying the ring or something like that.
I think that seeing this child now sort of distended in its limbs, I could hear the cracking and breaking of sinew and bone and muscle beneath the skin. I think she just instinctively pulls out the gun, and in a show of what she hopes is pity, aims at it and fires.
Make a suppressing knowledge roll. A dark suppressing knowledge roll.
1. That's a 1.
Do you feel better now?
No, but I hope he does.
Well. I suppose he was going to be a disappointment anyway. I am absolutely surrounded by disappointments. They're always underfoot. Quite literally, actually. Would you like to see where the disappointments go, madam?
You mentioned the townsfolk. There's some sort of schism. You are separate from them then.
I care nothing for what they get up to.
What do they get up to? Is it cannibalism?
Yes. Well, the Herreras are into a bit of cannibalism, aren't they?
I think I've seen enough.
Have you? Well, I'm afraid I can't let you leave with that ring. You're going to have to give it back. It doesn't belong to you.
With all due respect, none of these people belong to you either, and yet you took them. This land didn't belong to you, and you took it. So I'd say my taking this ring is rather light by comparison.
Oh, well. And here he's joined by the rat. It crawls up onto his shoulder and it's whispering something in his ear. Make an insight roll.
Four.
Greedy God thinks you should stay with us, madam, and I'm inclined to agree. And he holds forth his hand with the red ring, and you can feel it's like he's reaching inside of you and pulling. You feel your body seizing up. You feel him bringing you under control. What do?
The gun is still pointed, and so not trying to destroy him because I think she knows that she can't. I think she just sort of aims for him, but maybe closer towards the rat. But she's going to try to use that to sort of snap him out of this sort of incantation so that she can use that moment to break away and flee.
I'm going to roll against you. I got a 3.
Six.
We'll come back to the scene in a moment. Norbert, Samuel, James, they eventually drag Joaquin Villela Pereira to the obelisk, and they're going to tie him down to some manacles in the ground there. Father Samuel, this is who you came to rescue. What do?
How many cultists are around us?
About a dozen.
Yeah.
I will say a few other things that you'll have time to notice since you're just there waiting for the proceedings to start. Norbert, you will see a broken pocket watch. The one that looks very similar to the one you gifted David during the war. And if you were to get your hands on it, you would see, indeed, it has the initials DL on the back. James.
Where do I just on the ground?
Just on the ground, yeah. James, you will see a bent pair of gold-rimmed spectacles just like the ones that Dr. Godfrey used to wear. And though you never met her, Jorge's poor girlfriend, her long strands of dark hair are scattered all about. Father Samuel, what do?
I think he looks desperately like to Norbert and James, like under the hood, eyes wide with fear and desperation, looking frantically about. He looks lost and confused. And he looks to the others in a with I guess with a show of resignation, of like, how do I describe this? It's like you could read on his face, I think, that like he can't do nothing and he's going to try something, but you know that he will, and he does not look to you expecting you to also do anything, but he could not forgive himself if he didn't try something. And as they're tying Joaquin down, does it look like, what are they preparing to do to him?
I mean, you definitely see some ritual daggers making their way among the group.
I was given a sickle earlier.
Yeah.
And sorry, just remind me with the way that the obelisk. So it's like there's the obelisk. Is there like is it like, is there like a pit, or is it just like an obelisk in like the table in front, like the altar in front
it's
of it?
It's an obelisk and then on the ground they have manacles that they're gonna strap.
Gotcha.
Them into.
I think Father Samuel is just going to run forward at the group that is shackling Joaquin down. His hood probably falls back from just the wind and just screaming at the top of his lungs. Just incoherent ramblings of faith and fighting against darkness. But he's gonna charge and tackle one of them.
James, what do you do, especially when you realize that Father Samuel is about to make a move here?
I think seeing him do that and seeing the broken spectacles, this is pushing James over the edge a little bit, and he will shakily take out the revolver and I think just shoot at this group of cultists as Samuel charges in.
Norbert, what are you doing?
I think Norbert would want to pick up the pocket watch. He'd be more focused on that than anything else. And as once he realizes it's David's, he would, I think he'd have a bit of a snap, a bit of a breakdown. And he too would pull out his pistol and start taking aimed shots at the nearest cultists.
You can all do a cooperating roll. Norbert, you get 2 dice. Father Samuel and James, you get 1 die. I'm rolling against you with a 3.
I'm choosing to add an insight die here. Yeah.
Go for it.
That's the end of Father Samuel.
Well, you have to roll up. You get to roll an insight. It's an automatic increase.
Oh, so I add my insight die and
if it rolls higher, then you must make an insight roll.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which you will.
Thank God.
And so you might. But I want to see what everybody else got to.
Yeah.
Did you all get 6s?
We all got 6s. Every single one of us got 6s.
Wow. Incredible effort to rescue Joaquin Villela Pereira. And indeed, this is the conclusion of this situation. Just we'll handle it in montage, starting with James. What do you do? What does it look like?
Quite unlike Norbert's aimed shots, he doesn't know how to handle this thing, but there's just a crowd, so he's just panicking, enraged, just starts firing at the crowd to kind of break them up, and of course his hood falls back as well, and I think he will, if he has a chance, desperately go and pick up those glasses and just be kind of staring at these, starting to tears coming to his eyes, just breaking down as well.
Norbert, give us your part of the scene.
Norbert takes smooth, precise, sniper-like aim on the nearest head of the nearest cultist, and in rapid succession takes out as many as he can with a 40-shot clip in his broom-handled Mauser.
Father Samuel, describe the rescue of Joaquin.
Father Samuel tackles the figure that was preparing to shackle him as they hit the ground and kind of like roll over in the dirt. He kind of like scrambles up, grabbing the sickle that he had just dropped, and he like holds out in front of him as if it was a torch against wolves. Doesn't quite seem to have the guts to actually use it as a weapon, but he kind of begins to like work it up, raising it tentatively, but then a shot from a gun goes off and there's a spray of blood from that cultist's head that spatters against the obelisk. He just kind of like looks to Joaquin and like, rushes over. Did they begin tying him down at all already, or is he just out?
I think he's naked, he's awake.
Yeah.
But you can grab him, yeah.
He kneels by him and says, Joaquin, my child, hello. It is I, Father Samuel. Get up. Can you walk?
And here, is where the insight roll gets triggered. I would like for everyone's help in describing what the cult has done to Joaquin, to his body, to his mind, that might be the thing that pushes Father Samuel over the edge.
In preparations, pieces of his flesh had been carved from his body, bite-sized pieces, no doubt used as a sort of amuse-bouche for this ritual.
I'm going to say his left eye has been pulped.
And his tongue, like the cattle mutilations.
I think there's even pieces of other animals that are tied to him, almost making him beast-like. If there were cattle, there's like a hoof that's now wrapped around his wrist. There's a tail that's been tied to him, kind of in a mocking, grotesque way.
His nose has been cut away, and the flesh of above the lip cleft and carved to give this kind of almost like sneering, animal-like snout, visceral appearance.
Roll insight. Let's see if this is the one.
It is the one. That is a 6. That is a 6.
What a good timing, die roller. Wow, the die roller coming in right at the clinch. All right. I've got one more scene with Millicent, and then that'll be a session. We'll go to epilogues after that. Millicent, you can describe your escape, but I need to know, are you going back up the stairs or are you going deeper into the complex?
I'm going back up the stairs. I'm not trying to be here anymore.
Go ahead and describe your escape up the stairs.
She feels that pull, this energy trying to compel her, but her finger's still on the trigger. She just sort of focuses all her resolve into that trigger finger, and her grip is sort of wavering. So when she fires, the gun goes off, but it doesn't hit Mr. Diaz. It does hit the rat though, and it scampers off, and it distracts Mr. Diaz enough for him to break whatever kind of spell he had on her. So she feels herself, sort of the gravity of the room return to her, and using this sort of distraction, she bolts up the steps, running up through the living room, bolting out of the door. I imagine the strange pinchers are out there barking at her, but she does not care. She is just running full sprint down the street past the mausoleum back towards town. And if it's okay, I think that knowing that the bus has been de-wheeled, she would be looking for any kind of car, maybe even the sheriff's truck, to hotwire, because she is wanting to get the heck out of here.
You'll eventually be able to escape, but not before, as you're catching your breath, you see a figure in the shadows. You see green eyes staring at you. Mama. Mama. Mama, mama, mama. You see one of the Diaz or Vilela Pereiras lumbering out, crawling on all fours like a baby, though they are fully grown, crawling up to you, their green eyes wet with tears. Mama. Mama. Roll insight.
That's a 5.
You're going up to 5. And that's epilogue. We'll take a 5-minute break so you all can think about your epilogues. Try not to implicate the other characters in your epilogues, but you can show us at any point in the future. I'll see you in 5. Epilogue. Whoever wants to go first, please do.
I can jump in. I think first we see a very large envelope that some staff at the University of New Mexico is opening. And it's like phone book thick stack of papers. We see them flipping through it, and it's an absolute rambling proposal for a thesis of some kind. Just almost impossible to follow, just ramblings, hand-drawn illustrations talking about mythology and witchcraft and history, but seeming to point at what happens when society suppresses its shadow side in the way that this has happened. The staff doesn't know what to make of it. Of course, it's claiming to be supported by Dr. Godfrey, and very real sense of urgency. There's a lot of extra letters and notes taped on at the end, last minute notes. Then we cut over and we see James in his kind of cramped apartment room at a desk, haggard, does not look like he's been sleeping at all, continuing to write and shuffling through papers, shuffling through notes, trying to make sense of all of this. And he doesn't know where he's going with this next. That's all I got, really, is that he's fully unresolved, fully delving deeper. I think the last pages we see are him starting to go on, he's got like the conspiracy board on the wall and thinking about what else was underground at Castronegro, what could be in the churches, in Silver City itself. What are they hiding in their vaults? And just absolutely off the wall theorizing starting to happen. Looks out the window, just dark circles under his eyes, paranoid, goes back to his notes.
The shot transitions from the dark window to panning down from another window that looks out into the darkness, the interior of a padded cell. I think we see like scribblings and drawings, sketches of a bulbous toad-like shape, many tentacles, flute-like drawings, notations of music, writing, sketches of people, of faces, and sitting in the middle of the room, tied up in a straitjacket, kind of like huddled in the corner. Is his father Samuel, kind of like rocking back and forth, muttering to himself about incomprehensible things, truly, and occasionally snaps his head to look at no one in particular and say briefly lucid things like, "Oh, no, of course not. Everything is quite all right. As after all, God looks after his flock. God looks after his flock as the shepherd does his sheep. Yes, yes." We do see that one of his eyes has become kind of like lazy. Looks like he may have suffered some strokes. And amidst that, we just see him looking up at the ceiling, where he has this very complex shaded charcoal smearing of a very badly mutilated Joaquin's face, looking down at him with eyes that, even though rendered in charcoal, one can almost tell they are a vivid green.
I think for Norbert, we see him on a stoop of a humble East Coast home, knocking on the door, and a maybe over 60-year-old woman coming, answering, asking him to come inside. She recognizes him. He very reverently goes in, sits himself in the kitchen, and begins talking about how he was able to locate James's, or not date James, but David's last place outside of Silver City before he went missing. Takes out the pocket watch and doesn't go into detail about what he suspects happened to David, but says something to the effect of,
in France, we became very close. Your son and myself. David was my world, and a German shell took my world away, and some very bad men took him away from you. But rest assured, I have brought some justice to his end.
And I'll pass a copy of the Silver City Examiner across the table to her. It shows a headline that reads, "Terrible series of unexplained fires and explosions in the small town of Castronegro have leveled the town." And at the same time, we'll see a pan shot to James's office and a delivery to Father Samuel's institution with the same copy of the Examiner.
In the in this film, if you will, we cut to a very comparatively modern setting. The title card at the bottom says 1980, and we see a line of very diverse people, all sort of lined up, waiting for someone, and they've all got something in their arms. Looks to be some kind of book. And as we follow the line inside, we follow it into a bookstore, and we see a table set up where these people are waiting to have their books signed. And we see a very beautiful, glamorous older woman, dark black hair, probably dyed though. She's probably somewhere in her 70s. Picture sort of Coco from Mulholland Drive, but with this beautiful big blue ring shaped like a toad on. She has a handler at the side who is sort of handling and dealing with the patrons, sort of passing books to the author to sign them. Behind there is a signage, a poster that has a portrait of the author, though much younger, much more glamorous. And it reads Millicent Myers at the bottom. And she is signing a copy of her book, The Medium's Way. And everyone there seems to be very eager. And Millicent isn't really taking much stock of the people's. This is clearly something that she does and that she has done for quite some time. So she's signing away the books. The handler hands her another book, and as she opens it, she turns to the title page to sign, and she sees the title. Oh, well, I haven't signed one of these in years. The Secret of Castronegro. Well, and she starts to sign it, and the gentleman who is standing in front, eager for the book, says, "Thank you, Miss Reed." And she pauses. As she closes the book, she begins to hand it off. And when she does, she notices the hand and the fingers extend, but they are elongated, almost too long for someone of that size. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, Mr. Diaz, Domingo Diaz. My father says hello. And he takes the book, presses it to his chest, and casually walks out. But as he walks out, she can't help but stop, stare, and watch him, completely frozen by this encounter.
The Secret of Castronegro. Yay. Let's do stars and wishes for the whole series. And today, I'll go first though. Well, that was wonderful. Just an unbelievably bleak ending, but some cool endings as well. Some fun epilogues, bleak epilogues. The sort of like dual like sort of crescendos of the story towards the end, one at Casa de Diaz, one in the barn, and Obelisk was really great. Like it was kind of like two different types of horror in a way, but they were both like really building and ramping up, and the tension was really good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. The characterizations were really wonderful. Just a lot of poignant moments. Yeah, it was started the die roller for like sending Father Samuel over right at the end. Yeah, there was just so many good things. I could list so many stars, but this was a really, really fabulous series, and I can't think of a better way to have spent my Halloween, or part of my Halloween. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking just to today, definitely the die roller came in clutch. I love when the dice just really help tell a satisfying story. And like the 3 6s on the dice for everyone to sort of rescue Joaquin, and then followed by that failure when you see Joaquin's just mutilated body. Like even though you saved him, he's just totally beyond recognition and hope, and that sort of pushing Father Samuel over the edge. And then the 6 for Millicent to get out. Like I was just very pleased with how we rolled. I mean, I know it's a sort of random thing, but it was still very satisfying. But even with that, I think everyone really built off of those roles really in satisfying ways. The epilogues I thought were really great. Father Samuel's felt very like classic Lovecraftian protagonist who meets his sort of end emotionally, religiously, and spiritually, and even mentally. And I like the sort of echo with the drawing of Joaquin's mutilated face. I thought James was very sensible, but also like it makes sense that he's sort of now not like pushed over the edge, but driven to like really sort of refine his studies and to sort of continue on his professor's legacy. And I thought Norbert's little speech to David's mother, I presume mother, was very tender and sweet. And I love that he was blowing up the town right after we left. It was so good. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great stuff I could point out, but I thought like, as a third act, this like there was a lot of tension that felt really satisfying, and I liked that. I like that we split up so that we could get the two aspects of the town, because I feel like if we had just sort of gone with the obelisk and all sort of went as a team, we wouldn't get as much of the sort of weird Diaz science horror that was going on over there. So I'm glad that we did that. And yeah, I super satisfying. Thank you again, Jason, for inviting me. This was a very fun and terrifying way to spend my Halloween morning. Also, an extra star for the sounds. The sounds are always going to get me. Those fucking barking dogs at the end. I hated it. I hated it.
It's the first time I've done those dogs like that, and I like it. I'm gonna do the dogs that way next year. So
tons of stars as well. This session stars to Millicent for kind of single-handedly giving us the history of what's actually going on, while the rest of us are just fumbling around in this barn. So that was really interesting to have that contrast. I always love a creepy monster that's playing an instrument, so that was a nice detail as well. And I liked getting to have the moment with Father Samuel of almost looking to him for some kind of comfort in a moment, and then minutes later just being furious at him for burning books and burning knowledge. That was a fun contrast to have. And I like the moment with the obelisk because it felt truly hopeless. Like there's no good outcome here. There's no way we can win. And then we roll 6s, and then of course it's worse. So that was really good roller coaster of a moment there as well. All the epilogues were incredible. I love seeing the cut forward from Millicent as well, signing books and echoing what's been said with Norbert and Father Samuel as well. So it's just a delight to play with you all. Love the atmosphere throughout, and had a great time. Thanks.
Yeah. So this was fantastic all around. I went into this, this whole experience, but specifically the session today, I was like, I want just truly awful things to happen to Father Samuel. I want him to have like a terrible end, or if it's not a terrible end, a bleak ending. And I did, so I'm very happy with that. But I started this in the chat earlier, but started Gabriel for knowing completely well what I was going to angle for with getting those books by myself, and still fully teeing it up for me. Love some like a cooperative narrative destruction there. That was a really fun moment. And then I don't know, a similar story in that vein though. I felt like in this is a start for you as a role player, Gabriel, that we didn't linger on that too much. Like that could have been something that was like more combative or standoffish, but like with the pressing situation around us, you kind of made the decision of James being just like, oh fuck, all right, we'll just keep moving forward and deal with that later, which kind of kept momentum and really just kind of I was stressed this whole time. This was great. Star to again, I echo Jack with just Millicent being so determined to do her own thing and then just going off. As was already said, basically you were doing all the heavy lifting of actually providing like lore for what was going on while the rest of us were just suffering. That scene beneath the barn with, I assume that's a servitor of the outer gods, because the flute iconography is what comes to mind. Terrifying. This was proper like Lovecraftian horror that I enjoy and feel like I never really get with other Cthulhu games. This is only my second time ever playing Cthulhu Dark. So I was having a great time. So Star to Jason, your GMing was fantastic. Kenneth, your Norbert, I already mentioned this before though, was a fantastic character. All three sessions here, I've loved not just his voice in particular, because but his mannerisms and seemingly the things that he was like standing for. So it's like a broad star for the entire experience. He was a great character. And truly, I'm happy that if nothing else, he got out of Castronegro after destroying it and is continuing on in some other capacity. Also, Star, I have a particular fondness for anyone who gives a cheeky ending with being like, and I published the name of the thing. That is, yes, that book that I made that. So that was very good. I thoroughly loved that. Yeah. So just awesome all around. Had a great time.
Yeah, echoing what everyone's already said, of course. A gigantic thank you, Jason, first to you. I've never done 3 days in a row, and I've been playing for more years than I care to share with everybody. But I've never done 3 days in a row, and this was great. Really more immersive than I'm used to with virtual. So and just a phenomenal atmosphere and layered up each day. And thank you so much for inviting me, even though I sort of like stumbled in to, to the link. But thank you. This was just
happy to have you.
Yeah. Really, really phenomenal way to do the Halloween weekend. Amazing. To Jack's point and the points that I've made of the sounds, the noises that that draws us deeper into the horror. You sort of knock it out of the park with those. It really deepens the atmosphere for me. So thank you, and everybody. I love the richness of the characters you all built. It made it really easy for me as a player to engage with everyone. I felt very organic in our back and forth. And some of the moments, today, Father Samuel's breakdown was so, you could see it coming at the confrontation with the sheriff of the library. There was that tip, and Alex, you did such a good job to just like try to hang on by like your fingernails, and like I felt that as a character, like try to keep an eye on everybody. It was kind of like anxiety provoking. It was wonderful. And then when you flipped it, I was inside the barn and nowhere near to help. So that was, it was also good. And then, me being that kind of bumbling Boy Scout and Millicent actually being the anchor, having the notion of what the fuck was going on while the rest of us were all operating purely on emotional instinct around missing people was beautiful and brilliant. And, I would have watched, this is a great movie. I would watch this movie with the female protagonist as the lead with all of the information. And that scene everyone has mentioned below the barn was just great. Horrific, action paced. The dice spoke wonderfully to that too. And the the creepiness of that exchange at Casa de Diaz with Millicent was just, I wasn't there, but I had like tingles up my spine as you're having the interaction and trying to like stretch it out to see if you can get an advantage in. It was great. The epilogues were really, really well done. And I especially, when you were leading into this sort of book revelation, I thought you were going to be selling The Secrets of Castronegro as your book, and maybe had like deep green eyes and had been transformed by this point. How horrible we would be going. I thought, oh yes, give us an A24 ending. was phenomenal. So thank you all very much. I've just loved my time with all. If I have a wish, it would be to play with you all again. So fantastic.
I share that wish. That fantastic group.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, the year is 2023, and a group of cavers has just made the most significant archaeological, anthropological, geological discovery of the last 100 years. A cave beneath some ruins, a little burnt out town in remote New Mexico. These caves appear to be a series of burrows, warrens, with literally thousands of passages and tunnels. The cavers, originally there just on a rumor to enjoy a caving weekend, realize that they have stumbled onto something really incredible. Unfortunately, they will not be able to share their incredible discovery with the wider world, because they realize they are not alone down in these warrens. They at first realize it when they come upon quite a lot of bones, human bones, and feces, and a stench, and a clattering and a chittering in the dark. They find themselves in a particularly large chamber of the cave system, and they see in the shadows they are being looked at by hundreds of pairs of bright green eyes. The people watching them, crawling about, animal-like, making their horrible, moaning, baying noises, they become quiet and part their sea of flesh and filth to make room for the one that rules them. A grotesquerie, a monstrosity, which I don't have the heart to describe. But the last thing the cavers hear, Bottom!